Hello my brothers and sisters of the Order, welcome back to the Order. I'm Celtic Templar, and today y'all we're doing another weapons review, and this time on this Hanwei Viking Axe. Now, its overall length is 25 3/4 of an inch, its blade is 5.5 inches, as well its weight is 2 pounds and 2 ounces. The thickness at the guard is 0.33 inches. So that's actually saying something about how this thing is made. Now, the way this thing's made, though, is the fact this has no screws or whatever to hold the axe in place. It's just fitted on like the historical type of way it would have been done. Now, it comes with this leather-style sheath to, actually use it pretty much to guard yourself. For example, you wouldn't exactly want to walk around and accidentally cut your arm or something on this, so, yeah. Now, it has a very unique style of shape for the axe head. As y'all can see, it's not exactly the most unique or most known type of axe head design, but in such, I do like the fact that they tried their best to make sure it's historical accuracy with this design on the, well, head. As we can see here, that head piece is like, well, with its flattened bottom. Now, why is this knowledgeable that we must know about something like this? Simple. As we can understand, the way this would be used like, this is actually what we call a Lombard axe, or in this case, a Longbeard axe, as it's also known as, which, I want to put this out here, these axes are kind of, well, still being used in historical wise for agriculturalists, or as well, those who cut down trees and such and timber, and as well those who make wooden ships. So yeah, this would actually be used to edge the ship, like, well, to edge it. In other words, it would also be nicknamed an edger. Reason being because it would be used on the planks. In other words, to slightly cut at the very seam of the said, well, plank of the wood. Now, in such though, this thing actually has some high carbon steel alloy. It's actually got the antique finish, which makes it look rusty as hell, but that's actually just part of its design. You can also get it as the normal design, but I prefer getting it like this, because one, it looks a little more badass looking, if you ask me. Still though, this thing is actually pretty awesome. Now, I actually am going to be doing testing with this weapon, so, why don't we get right into it. Alright guys, now as we can tell, we're going to be, using our 14 gauge steel Viking helmet. Now this is going to be our strongest steel we're going to be using, because one, I don't think anything's going to stop this axe. Now what we're going to do is use one-handed, first we're going to do is one-handed strikes with here, from above, the side, and as well, then we're actually going to use the back end with the hammer, from both above and the side. Then we're going to switch it to two-handed, because one, I think that will do a lot more damage. So, let's remove our leather and see where we go from there. Now I want to put this out here, y'all. This type of weapon is a one-handed Viking style axe. However, the scary part is, I can also see this thing being used as a two-handed weapon, especially if you make the weapon shaft longer. So, let's see. Oh! We got some indentation right there. That is actually enough power in that strike to cause it to bend inward. Not as much as our pole hammer did, but still. Enough that would probably get this guy's ears ringing. Let's try to the side. Okay, we hit on the extra reinforcement. It cut into that extra reinforcement right about here, underneath our rivet, and really messed up the eyebrow. Slight bit of damage. Maybe we should try that again. follow on the line, cut into the metal. That is just seriously messed up looking. Okay. Now, let's try our hammer strikes. I think I'm gonna want to put the leather on just to be safe. Because I don't know why. When it comes to me, I don't want this thing flying back of my head. Okay. I think we might have gotten it right about here. Let's try that again. Let's use a different spot. Let's be safe. Honestly, this thing feels like more of a two-handed style weapon to make sure it's accurate. Ooh, that actually does dent it in a little. We actually got some damage there with our extra reinforcement right about here. I don't know if y'all can see that, but it's making an L shape right there. It's kind of scary. Okay. Now, as I said, we're also now going to have to try and do it to the side. So let's try that to the side now. Caused some dentation enough because I went in slightly at an angle. So what it caused is a slight little bump. Let's try that again. Oh! Nice fragmentation line right here. Almost looks like as though it got hit by a hatchet. Still though, that is very dangerous looking. So now, let's go to two-handed. Let me get that in camera for y'all. Oh! Oh my, that cut into our metal. Look at that line, y'all. That is seriously messed up. And this is a one-handed Viking axe. Oh. So yeah, as I said, more powerful with two hands. Okay, let's try it at the side now. Not as much damage because it was the first one was a downward chop, so maybe we should try a little more power. Oh, and dented in our reinforcement. Right about there. I don't know if y'all can see that, but that is some major reinforcement. And it even knocked out our rivet. That is kind of hilarious. This is actually knocking out our reinforcement bar. Seems that Lords of Battle's helmet isn't so tough after all. Because this is one of my toughest, strongest helmets. So yeah. Now I think I'm going to have to go back with the leather on, so that way we can now use the hammer. Oh, that caused some serious damage. Maybe we should try that again in a more subtle spot. that's just denting it in. You can literally see where the hammer just strikes it. There's this major wound right here in the helmet. That is just pure terror. Alright, let's try the side. I can't tell where it hit. Let's try it again, shall we? I mean, it's causing some damage, but not as much as the downward chop. So, oh, but man, we're loosening our rivet even more now. Just hammer it back in place. Oh, yeah, I just noticed something. It seems that with that power strike, we have been messing up our handle up here. Because literally, that is actually a slight bit of cracking here. All in all, the rest of the shaft is pretty good. So this thing had enough power, but I think what happened was that my strikes with the hammer started to mess it up. Because look, it's slightly dented a little bit. Because I'm best betting is that when the hammer took a strike, it also hit the part of the metal with it. So, not exactly fracturing because of the weapon, but because the fact is I hit the metal on the axe head with the axe and such. So, still though, it's pretty resourceful, and as well, it's not exactly coming loose. Thing's not even coming loose, and this is not even nailed in place. As historical evidence shows, these things were not nailed in place, they were held in, so all in all, this thing did its job. Well, wasn't that inspiring? Now, I know many of you might wonder, Templar, what the hell did you do with the axe? You pretty much ruined the top end. Yeah, I know the top end is slightly ruined, but that's just because of the fact, as I stated, I accidentally, let me get my testing helmet out, because what I accidentally did is I accidentally hit it like that. In other words, it came in contact with the wood. Still though, this thing did a lot of damage on our said helmet. Kind of not as much as our pole hammer, but still enough damage that it would have left a huge serious gash in the helmet. Well, it did, and the axe blows did a lot more damage than the hammer, which is saying something, because the hammer isn't that far sticking outward. However, the blade, on the other hand, is. And it's such, the way the blade is designed is when it makes in contact with a certain helmet, like that, it will cause what we call a downward chop motion. Still though, that is actually pretty impressive it did that. Now I want to also put this out here, y'all. When it came to the designs like this, the axe head would have been a little bit different. Instead of it being like a top pointed piece, it would have actually been the same as the bottom. But Hanwei did their job, and I can see how well this would have actually worked in the battlefield. So and such, this would be also a great, well, not just an agricultural tool, like taking care of trees, but also to take care of that unwanted intruder. So, pretty much though, I think it'd be perfect as a two-handed style weapon, rather than a one-handed weapon, because when I'm using it with a one-hand, this thing has a heavy axe-type blade. Meaning it's mostly meant for as a two-handed type, not a one-handed type. Still though, if you want more control about it, I would suggest you actually take up your hand like right about here. That way you got more control. But if you want heavy power, do like this. Now, most of the point of balance is always going to be, well, towards the axe blade itself, unlike with a sword. Because with a sword, it's opposite. So, yeah. Still though, all in all, this thing did its job, and it's pretty much still stuck in there. It's not falling apart, which is kind of awesome. Though I think our sheath might be getting cut. Because it seems that it's held in place by some stitching, and it seems that the stitching is coming, looks like it might have gotten cut. So, yeah. But pretty much, this thing is pretty much perfect as a type of, well, axe. Now, putting it back on is pretty easy. Still though, how would I rate this? I would have to rate it very high, and due to the fact of its power, I'm giving it at least 4.5 stars, maybe 5, because the fact is, I don't know, ever since I had the, our pole hammer, it pretty much has made me what they call that a 5-star weapon compared to this one-handed. But still, this is a dangerous weapon, don't get me wrong. But it does, slightly less power than our Crusader axe, which that's saying something. So, how well would this work in the right circumstances? Well, say for example you're trying to break a shield wall, or as well cleave into someone's helmet. This would probably cleave in their helmet, and worse, probably kill them on the impact. Because, one, an axe did not need to go through the helmet in order to kill. It just needed to damage the cause enough damage or brain damage enough to probably kill them, or as well knock them out, only to return the weapon in kind. So, would I use this as a camping type tool? Yes. Would I use it for the average Viking? Yes. Pretty much it's a everyday type weapon. So, pretty much it's a perfect type of weapon entirely for self-defense as well. But now, in such though, I don't recommend using the hammer unless you're hammering something in. Now, as I said, these axes like this were mostly meant like agricultural tools. And as such, even to this very day, many people who hand make their homes or boats or whatever, like the traditional Viking style type tool, they're going to be wanting to use something to nail something in, or as well hammer something in, such as say, well, with traditional Viking ships. In other words, they would have used a wooden split, so they would have probably used it like that in order to split the wood. Still though, this is actually kind of impressive of how accurate Hanwei did try to depict their Viking axe. All in all, the weapon is perfectly fine, unless we count the top piece. Still, our helmet is a lot worse than it once was. So, yeah. Anyways, guys, hopefully you like this video, like and subscribe for more, and as well click the bell button for notifications when the next video comes up. If y'all have any ideas and suggestions of weapons we should take a review on, please let me know in the comments below, and we'll be happy to get to them right as soon as possible. Anyways, guys, it's been Untitled Templar. Have a great day.